Good day everyone. Today we are going to explore doing the opposite of what I did in my previous tutorial about getting Excel information into Unity. We're going to try and get information from Unity into Excel. We're going to do it with like editor scripts, but it can be done with any types of scripts. So first, let's create a lovely folder, call it scripts, and then inside it we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it editor. And in here, we're going to create a new script, which we're going to call my tools. Let's call it that way. So with this, we're going to create some little silly icons that we can have here in the top menu, and also press a button to make things happen. So let's open the class. Wait a bit, well, the file. We're not going to need these two libraries. We are going to need this one. We're also going to need Unity editor. And there we go. My tools, does it need to extend model behavior? No, because we're going to make it static. That's right. And now none of this makes any sense. Okay, so this script literally just needs to exist there and will be immediately used, right? So let's call them this tag menu item, and then we're gonna give it a folder. Let's call it my tools, like this. And then inside the folder, we're gonna say what this particular function is going to be. So we're gonna create one like add to report, something like this. And here you also, in this string, determine what keys you need to press to activate it. So we're going to use control, which is this percentage sign, and say F1. So control F1 is going to start this function, well, the one that follows. Let's change it to my tools with a space, so we're very English. Now static void, and let's call it dev. I like these names that are clearly indicating this is debug stuff, essentially, right? And we're gonna say append to report. Open, close, round, squiggly, off we go. Now, we are going to need another script that reacts this. So I'm actually gonna go and create it right away. The goal is to get information into a CSV. So we're gonna call this one CSV exporter or something. Oh, let's call it manager. There we go. CSV Manager, wait for compiling. Double click to open. Again, this one is static. No need to extend, well, we can't extend model behavior. We need to remove all of these, and we don't need these. We will need system.io, however. Is there anything else that we need? I think that's the one. Right, okay, so let's begin writing this. Anyway, so this tool, let me quickly show you how it works. So if I go debug.log, I pressed the button, okay, and now we go here, we wait for it to compile, and you'll see that as soon as I press Control F1, even if the game is not running, I press the button, okay, and also I have a new box called My Tools, Add to Report, I press the button, okay, so that's pretty good. Now let's go back to our CSV Manager. Now we're going to need a bunch of information, right? We're going to need to create a file to which we feed information. So private static string, we're going to need a folder this goes. So let's call it report folder name equals, and you need to immediately assign it a value because this one's static, right? So report, and then private static, string report file name, which I'm gonna call report.csv. Oops, there we go. Now, what separator are we gonna use between the items? We're gonna make a CSV, so it's gonna be a comma. Well, I might as well save it like this, which is report separator equals comma. What else? I'm gonna need a set of headers, right? Because we want to go to Excel. So let's get the private static string report headers, and it's gonna be an array of strings. New string, let's say 5 for now, but it doesn't matter. Like you would need to create this in advance and make whatever decision you want. So let's call this one character name. I'm gonna do it this way. So character name, then we're gonna say HP or whatever, MP, and then damage, and then armor. Yeah, doesn't matter, huge deal. But there you go. Okay, and obviously we need a semicolon here at the end. And now we want a timestamp for every time something's been added. Sure. Static string timestamp header equals timestamp. There we go. Now, we're gonna need a bunch of little methods to verify that a folder exists, doesn't exist, a file exists and doesn't exist, etc., etc. So all of this stuff kind of needs to exist in advance. These are all going to be small helper methods. So let's begin by creating some. So for example, static void verify directory, right? And this is if the directory exists, awesome. If it doesn't exist, oh well, we need to do something about it, right? We're also going to need some string probably to get the path. So let's go static string get directory path. And this one is going to return application data path plus a slash plus this variable over here, right? Report folder name. Let me change folder to directory so I'm more consistent. There we go. Right, and then we need one for the file. So static string get file path, which is going to be return, and we can use get directory path right away, plus a slash plus report file name, right? There we go. So we have these two ready. Now to verify directory, we need to check if the directory exists. So let's create a string on the fly, call it dir for directory equals get directory path. And now we're gonna check if it exists. We're gonna say if, oh my bad, sorry. If open round, not directory, which we now have access to because of system.io, exists dir. So if this directory does not exist, then we need to create one. Create directory dir. There we go. So verify directory is good. We should probably create a verify file. So static void verify file. Same principle. Does the file exist? So string file equals get file path. And we're gonna check if the file exists. File. If it doesn't exist, well then we are going to call a method called create report, which we don't have yet, but let's build it. We may want to make it public so we can access it from the outside if necessary, you know, and I think that may help. So public static void create report. Whoops. All right, here we go. Now we're going to use this particular syntax because it's going to allow us to sort of open a file and immediately close it, and we don't have to worry about closing commands. So using, and now we're going to say stream writer, let's call it SW, equals file dot create text. So we're creating a file. And which file? Get file path. Right? Now, the reason why this is safe is because it's only called after we know the folder. Well, it'll only be called after we know the file exists. Oh, verity. My bad. Verify. And that the directory exists and the file does not exist. And then it gets called. Right? So that's fairly easy. Let's see here. Oh, I forgot one bracket. All right, that's correct. And now in here, right, we're gonna create a string in the at the beginning, I'm gonna call it final string, whatever, is nothing, so it starts empty. And then we're gonna loop, and we're gonna loop through the report headers. So we put them all. I've zoomed in a little bit. Yeah, should be good. So report headers dot length. All right, and final string. The first thing we're gonna check is if final string is not empty, so something's already written. Final string needs to get its separator added. And then we can say final string add report headers I. And we know that there's also a final report header, which we are going to need, which is our timestamp header, but it will also need a separator. So we'll need separator plus timestamp header. There we go. And now we have the final string, and we can finally write the line. So SW write line final string. There we go. Right? So that's fairly easy. And there's our report created. So this will create a file. Right? Now public static void, which is what we wanted to do in the first place, is append to report. And we're gonna request a string array, or you know, with the text that we want to actually append. Right? And in append to report, the first thing we're going to do is verify directory. So if it doesn't exist, we create it. Then we verify the file. If it doesn't exist, we create it with the correct header and everything. Excuse me. And wait, I'm actually wondering about something. I'm wondering if verify file should instead verify the directory first. It may be a good idea. So it's all managed by that. And also create report should probably verify the file. Excuse me, the directory, because if the directory doesn't exist, we're gonna have a problem. So let's put that there. I think it's gonna be fine right now. Yeah, let's leave it this way. So again, using same concept, stream writer. Okay, stream writer, let's go SW equals file append text. Again, get file path, or getting the path of the thing. And again, we're gonna have a string final string that is going to start empty, and then we're gonna do another loop. This time we're gonna loop by strings. And we're gonna say if final string is not empty, then we need to add the separator. And after we added the separator, assuming it's needed, we're gonna add strings I. And now all of them should be added. Now at the end, we need to append the date and time. So we're gonna say plus equals, and I'd like a method for that because this is gonna be annoying. So let's create a static string get timestamp. And let's call get timestamp right here. So let's quickly finish this thought over here, and now we can write it. So SW write line and final string. There we go. And now let's do the get timestamp. So we're gonna return system.datetime.now.toString. There we go. I think we may want UTC now, which is basically universal time. And there we go. Get the timestamp and do it. So we have these two methods now that are interactions. Let's add a quick region to separate it. Interactions and region. Whoops. Okie doke. And then these are the little operations. So region operations, and these end here, and region, and then this region is queries. And region. All right. Looking nice and tidy. I like it. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, in my tools, this is F1, so we're gonna append to the thing. Now, because these are all static methods, I can just, static classes, I can just go to them and say append to report. And now it's what we're going to append to report. And this may depend, right? May depend on various things. But for now, I'm just gonna feed it something completely new. So string, I think we have 5 elements if I recall correctly. How many? 5 headers, that's right. So let's go with 5. You could technically, you know, you can make this a lot more sophisticated than this, right? So we're gonna begin with a random name. Oh, how do we get random names? I'm not sure. Let's just go with John, doesn't matter, right? This is all purely for example's sake. So John, then I think John has HP, MP, damage, and armor. Those all sound like numbers, so let's go random.range, and I'm gonna feed it 0 and 11, so we get a number between 0 and 10, and toString. And I'm gonna do this for all of my little stats. Again, this is not particularly clever, is it? You would need to hook this into something else. Perhaps we'll do it in a moment. Let's see for now. This should be sufficient. So that's to append. And then we're also going to create a very similar method to this one. Let's make a few changes. This one is reset report. Let's make it F12 so we can't hit it by mistake. It's all the way to the other side. Reset report. And this one is, well, create report. And create report doesn't require anything. Now, one thing that I like to do at the end of all of these things when I press buttons and that sort of stuff is I like to have beep. Oh dear. Oh dear, I don't remember how to beep. There's a way to beep. I think it's not application, what is it? Editor? Aha! Editor application beep. There it is. So this is a simple bajing Windows sound or whatever your system sound is. Right? So there we go. And this should all immediately work. So right here, right, you see there's no report folder in the assets. There's nothing going on. Let's hit F1. I hit a bajing. Okay, I don't see anything here. Let's show an Explorer. Assets. Oh, hello, there's the report. See, this guy hasn't updated yet. Oh, hello. Now it has, and we have a report file. And we can open the report file directly with Visual Studio. And there they are. Character, name, HP, MP, damage, armor, timestamp, etc. Right, so all this stuff has happened. Easy enough. Now let's hit Control F1 again. And you'll see immediately that this guy gets more lines because we're appending, right? F1, 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 F1. And we're getting a bunch more. Okay, well, that's easy enough. So now we can show in Explorer this particular folder, and you'll see the report CSV looks like it can be opened with Excel. I mean, my system is configured so that Excel opens CSVs. You can open CSVs in all sorts of other ways, right? But in Excel, it's quite nice because you just double click it and boom, there's your content. We've got a problem, evidently. The timestamp. Okay, so we got a little bug here, looks like. So John is correct, HP is correct, MP is correct, damage is correct, and then armor is instead of timestamp. So something went wrong. Let's go take a look. So that's a perfect situation in which resetting a report will be useful, right? So let's take a look here. So it goes through the length of the strings, adds them, adds get timestamp. I can see what the problem is. We forgot to add the separator. That's fairly important. And now let's reset using F12. Whoops, sharing violation. All right, what's happening here? The problem is Excel has this file open. So the system doesn't allow you to edit it underneath its feet. Now we can. Tell you what, I don't just like that F button not to give us some information. So we're also going to do a debug log. Debug.log. Report updated successfully. Let's also give it a color, eh? Color equals green. Whoops. and color. And let's also debug log over here and say report, the report has been reset. The report has been reset. ... And let's go with orange. All right. So now, this also compiles very quickly, by the way. The report has been reset. Report updated successfully. Report updated successfully. If you don't collapse, you'll see them, right? So you can keep on adding them. Okay, that's good. So now we've got that done. Now let's go back to the folder and reopen it in Excel. And there we go. Now you see the timestamp is over here. It all happened on the same second of the same day, 18th of July 2019, and you'll see here it says 9 p.m. right? So I'm not sure what time this is, Greenwich or whatever, it doesn't matter. But anywhere in the world you do this, it's gonna give you the UTC because that's where we're requested, right? And I mean, from now on, the sky's the limit. You can do with this data whatever, with these data whatever you think is useful for your game, product, whatever, right? Now let's see if we can do some more clever hookups. Ooh, file couldn't be read. I don't know if this is anything to do with anything here. Yeah, I think this has been updated correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6. Yeah, it's all good. Okie doke. Now, I'm wondering if there would be a way to open it in Excel without locking the file. And it might be possible if you simply right click and go open with, and you go Microsoft Excel. Oh no, bummer. There should be a way to open, let's try this. So you open it in Microsoft Excel, then you go open, and I think you may be able to select as read only. Doesn't look that way, but we could create a macro that opens this in read only, so I don't think there would be a problem then. Either way, if you have it open, you can't recreate it on the fly. All right, now let's see if we can build something in the game, like create some silly thing in the game that allows us to take advantage of this report thing, right? I'm thinking. So let's go back to my tools here. Append to report. Let's call this one append defaults to report. Add defaults to report. I often like to number them like this. You'll see why shortly. And now let's add another one of them. So we're going to add in a new tool. And we're going to say to add specifics to report. We're going to request a string array. Strings, append specifics to report, new string 5. So that's wrong. We're just going to feed it strings. That's it. And you'll see now when you go to your tools here, they're numbered. Okay, the second one is not reachable, right? Why is that? Well, because it requires information. You can't just click it. Oops. Right? It's gonna have to receive this from somewhere. So it has to be public. And at this point, let's not put it in the menu at all. Right? There we go. That's pretty good. So let's change this to 2 again, and all of this should suddenly start making sense. Yep. Okay. So we can't really call this guy that way. We need to call it from the outside, and that's easy enough to do. So let's create a silly little script here, which we're gonna call, I don't know, game manager. Right? And let's create an empty object, call it game manager. I'm surprised it's at 0. Let's give it game manager and open it. Tum tum tum. Oh, reload. That's why I was stuck. All right. So let's make it into a instanced singleton. So public static game manager instance, and then void awake instance equals this. Okay, so we've got it instantiated right at the beginning. Well, I mean, we got it saved right at the beginning. We can access it whenever we want. And then we're gonna do a void update just so we can press a key. Let's say the enter key. So we're gonna say if input get key down key code dot return. So if I press enter, I'm gonna do something. Well, that something is gonna be clear fairly soon. So let's work here on a list of things. I'm gonna create a public struct character data, which is going to contain a public string name, public int hb, public int mp, public int damage, and public int armor. Is there anything else I want to add? I don't think anything else is needed at the moment. But, I mean, literally sky's the limit. You could put whatever you want. Let's make this one system serializable, and let's create a serialized field private character data so that's, yeah, character data whatever, that's fine. And now we're gonna create two characters which we don't really need, but we may want to. So private character data, whoops, data characters. All right, so let's immediately create a character data characters right here, new character data 2. And then we're gonna pick two random ones. For example, at the start of the game, and populate them. So let's say characters, or let's do a loop, bummer, 4, and we're gonna say characters.length, and we're gonna say characters I equals character data random range 0 character data dot length. So I'm picking two random characters at the start, or I could just sort of pick them myself. That could be an option. Tell you what, yeah, let's change that. I'm gonna create an enum here for my character archetypes, right? So let's call this one character types type. And I'm gonna say none equals -1, and then I'm gonna say the first character I'm gonna call John, Ted, Anya. Don't know why. Let's use my children's names: Zoe, Lilith, Andrew, and Melissa. All right, so I've got all of these characters over here, and they all. How many do I have? I have 7. And I'm going to create character data for each of these 7. And then the two characters, I'm actually not going to need this. I'm going to create character type, and I'm going to say characters. I'm also going to serialize it like this. Yes. All right. And then at the start, private character data array current characters. There, that'll help. So current characters is this, and it's going to be, and not 2, but rather it's going to be characters dot length. Depends on how many I want. I will want 2, but you know. So we're going through characters dot length, That's fine. And we're gonna say equals character data characters I. So I'm not randomizing, I'm picking that. This needs to be cast as an int. And it's not had p. Cannot implicitly convert game manager. Ah, I see. Instead of character data, it's current characters. Okay, that's good. So what I've done is I've created a list of current characters. There's going to be 2, well, an array. Where there's going to be as many as my characters archetypes. And then I'm going through them. Let's do it this way so it's consistent, even though it makes no difference. And then I'm assigning whatever initial values we have in our character data over there. And then with each update, what we're going to do is we're going to update the current characters in some sort of confrontation. So let me think here. So there's going to be some kind of confrontation where the HP is going to change. So we're going to say something like void fight and just this. And we're going to say some kind of random value. So for int I current characters dot length, current characters I dot HP is going to do minus equals. Well, I need the other guys. Yeah, so I'm not gonna do a loop. I'm gonna say current characters 0 dot HP is lower or equal is rather, let's reduce it by some random value between 1 and the damage that the other character can do. So it's going to be random range, and it's going to be 1 comma current characters 1 dot damage plus 1 because it's an int. Okay, so between 1 and whatever maximum damage it can deal. Okay, and now we're also going to do a minus the armor. So it's going to be my character's armor. Right, so the armor is going to protect me. And I'm gonna lose a random value between 1 and that. Now I need to do a certain thing. So I'm gonna create an int called damage. And then I'm gonna say damage equals this thing. And then I'm going to do a max. So mathf.max. This between this and 0, right? We can't go below. There we go. Now I don't need the damage. I was just sort of reasoning. And then I'm gonna do the same but the other way around. 1 HP and 1 and 0. So we do the reverse. And this should all be correct. And so I'm gonna call fight. And then I'm gonna and then I'm gonna get information from the current characters. Yeah, so for the current characters, it's gonna be someone versus someone else, right? And so we need to construct all of this string. So we need to go to my tools, my tools. What do you don't like, champ? It's a static class. Can you do that for me? Huh. Does not exist in the current context. That's interesting. I think it's because it's in the editor, but I'm not sure. Editor. Let's try that. Huh. Well, when you look at that, Mike is mildly stumped for a second. Public static class my tools. How do you know exist? Can I call CSV Manager? I don't think so. I wonder if it's because it's in the editor. Well, that stumps me a little bit, frankly. I suspect this one shouldn't be in the editor. Or maybe this one should be, but the other one shouldn't. The other one isn't, but I still can't call it. That's strange. Can I do using CSV Manager? No, that won't work. Okay, give it a test. CSV Manager dot. Then I say it does not exist. Alt enter, generate property. Generate local, generate class. Okay, I'm a bit confused by this. This should have worked. Oh boy. Oh, that tutorial is suddenly going south a little bit. How in the bloody world do I do this? Because I want to call this, but I can't. That's very strange. You should be able to call this. Can I do it out here? CSV Manager. No, I can't get there. Huh, something's wrong. Let's give it some time to compile here real quick. Because I don't know what's happening, right? Well, let's quickly do character data here. We are supposed to have, I believe, 7. Let's do 1 first. So this one is whatever those names were. Okay. My children are arguing in the other room. So John is the first character. He's gonna have 10 HP, 5 MP. He's gonna deal 3 damage, and he has 2 armor. Genuinely have no idea. We're gonna have 2 characters, and we're gonna decide them in a second. Now let's add the 7 that we promised. Okay, the second one is Ted. Then we got Anya. Then we got Zoe, Lilith, Andrew, and Melissa. Okay, so Melissa is a baby, so she has the least HP, the least MP, the least damage, and no armor. And Andrew is a 2-year-old, so we're gonna give him a 5 HP, 4 MP, damage. Well, he breaks everything, so put it on 3. Armor 1. Lilith, she's a bit older. Let's give her 7, 5, damage 3, armor 2. That's good. Zoe's even older, so let's do 9, 6, damage 4, armor 2. And then there's Anya. I'm gonna say that Anya is a super pro, low MP, not that we use them at the moment. 4 damage, but no armor, glass cannon. And then, well, not really, because she's tough. So let's make her a glass cannon. And Ted is gonna be our tank. Damage 2, armor 4. There we go. So we got all of our little character archetypes ready. Now we can pick, we're gonna have Zoe fight Lilith. Alright, so that's good. Now, with that said, I haven't really solved my primary problem right now, which is I can't get access to those, weirdly, which I'm not sure I understand. It surprises me a little bit. My tools, no. CSV, no. Okay. Well, time to look this up, guys. I don't know. I know I've done it before in a different project, but can't do it now. So Unity or C#, I suppose. Access static script. To access variables, no. Use static variables in Unity 3D tutorial. Okay, let's see what you got. I'm not sure what I'm doing. It's silly. Public class, public class, public class. You have to have a static class. Static class calls. Static class. Heck, this is so strange because I know I've accessed them before from another place. Oh, wait. Do I have to extend the class? Would that work? So, my tools. No, that's not it. Bummer. CSV. Nope. Let me see this. Private CSV map. Nope. See, I can't reach it from anywhere. That's odd. I'm sure I've done it before. I just can't remember how. Should have prepared this in advance. Well, I'm improvising now, so. Okay, my static class, my static property. No, this doesn't help me. All right, time to go and look at old projects. Game development. I may cut this from the video, we'll see. So projects, thrusty ship, assets, scripts. So level editor, for example. No, there should be something like static. There we go. And I've got all of these utilities, and I know these are reachable. UI utility, blah, blah, blah. It could be just the position of the script. So let's close this, right? And go to scripts from the editor, grab CSV Manager and drag it out because it doesn't really need that. But let's also create a new folder, which we're going to call static, and drag the CSV Manager in it. So, I mean, this one should complain, but it doesn't. That means it's reachable. Is it reachable now? So, CSV, oh, finally, that's the answer, right? Now, we're gonna have to append to report, right? Something. So, string create report line, right? And the report line is going to, well, get report line, I suppose. Get report line. So append to report, get report line. And so it's just a matter of getting this report line. And it needs to be a string array, by the way. So it's going to be a string array returnable equals new string, and I know it's 5 of them. And now we're going to start with the first one. So we're going to say returnable 0 equals, and we need to get the names. So it's going to be current characters and 0.name plus vs plus current characters 1.name semicolon. So the names are done, right? And then we can say returnable 1. It's going to be 0, 1, and this one is going to be HP to string, and then versus, let's leave that alone like that, and then returnable 2, oh my bad, 3 and 4, and this one is supposed to be MP, which doesn't change, therefore we should get the same number all the time. Then there should be damage, which doesn't change, we should get the same number all the time, and then you could do, what was it, the last one, armor, right, to string, and armor to string. There we go. Get report line, and now return returnable, and there we got the report line. So now we can call that, and it should all work. Now that obviously means that this particular thing is a potato, and we don't need it. We're gonna do the debug log though. Game manager. After the fight, report line, debug log. Let's color it a different color, like magenta. And we're gonna say report updated in game. Let's do it successfully. Okay. There we go. So this should all work now. Now, if I hit play, right, and I hit Control F12, the report gets reset. So that's a cool thing, right? It happens while you play the game or while you don't play the game. So if I press Control F1 now, it adds that. But if I press Enter, report updated in game. So I've done it a couple times. Let's do it a few more times. Stop the code, right? And now we have a report that we can check. Report. Let's take a look. There we go. So Zoe versus Lilith, and you got a HP 9 versus 7 on the first fight, right? And you see these never change, but these do, right? So Zoe took 1 damage, Lilith took 1 damage. Zoe took no damage, Lilith took no damage. Zoe took 1 damage, Lilith took 2 damage. Zoe took 1 damage, Lilith took 1, and so on, right? And there's your report, and it works perfectly fine. And you could do this to check if your data or whatever, your situations in game are working as you intend them. And there you go. I think this is a good spot to stop the tutorial. And I hope this is useful to you. And if you have any other tutorials you'd like to see, just drop comments in the YouTube box, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks very much for watching.